wish you more every day. I woke up early this morning and the sun came shining down and it...
Сейчас я вам покажу. Я не знаю, что это происходит. Из пальцев выходят. Так, энергия какая-то или что, я не знаю, что это такое. Не знаю, что это такое.
All day I faced a barren waste without the taste of water, cool water. Old Dan and I, with throats burnt dry and souls that cry for water, cool, clear water.
A mantra is an auditory symbol of electromagnetic radiation, as it captures a subset of properties while emitting and abstracting away others. In my view, this proximal relationship between yantras and mantras, which is prevalent across Hinduism, symbolically represents what Einstein described in his equation E is equal to mc squared. The idea that energy can be converted into mass and mass can be converted into energy, and by no means is this a spurious correlation.
Have you ever thought about what a circle sounds like? Well, it sounds like this. Just a frequency of sine and cosine. How do you see the circle? Well, if you press these buttons that are out of frame, there you go, there's the circle. Now, what about a square? Well, let's turn off the circle for a second. There's the square. The square looks like this, a little bit different than the circle, but still more or less just a wave. So go back to this view. Now what happens if you play the sound of the circle over the sound of the square? Well, turn back on the circle. If we turn back on the square, we can see that as we slowly increase the frequency, we can watch the circle outline the square. Now watch what happens if we slowly increase the frequency. And look at the patterns that emerge.
So all we have is a metal plate, and we sprinkle on some sand. What you see here is completely formless. In other words, there's no pattern at all. Then we take a violin bow, and we're going to play the plate with the violin bow. You see a beautiful star appears on the plate. Now, that pattern that forms is basically the sound made visible, and it's kind of magic. And now watch what happens when we make this plate vibrate from an electronic piano. Isn't that neat?
Mind-blowing secret of water that they do not want you to know. Now, what if I told you it is a scientific fact that your thoughts and feelings directly alter the structure of water? And this is the man who actually discovered that water has its own consciousness. His name is Dr. Mizuho Emoto. And what was discovered is when certain words were spoken into the water, it would either form sacred geometry or distortion. These are positive thoughts, feelings, and words, and these are negative thoughts, feelings, and words. He also found out that music played at 432 hertz creates divine sacred geometry, and then music like just played at 440 hertz is distorted. They also analyzed dead, unstructured water from a dam, and then had people pray over it, and it created this divine sacred geometry. He proved that the way you think and feel will alter the state of water, and knowing that we are 70% water, I can only hope that this will inspire some people to think and speak more positively about themselves and others. Peace and love.
What you're seeing here is water memory. You can do this experiment yourself just by showing an image to water for around 30 seconds and then freezing the water, and you will see a reflection of the image you showed it. This proves that water holds memory. It has consciousness. This is because water can change its structure depending on the vibrations it comes into contact with. This is where things start to get a bit crazy with words. Placing the word schizophrenia in water and then freezing it shows this image of a double-faced person. This proves that water is intelligent and is reacting to vibrations of the words. Now that you understand this concept, what do you think happens when you are drinking Monster Energy, or with cans which imprinted the word of death? You are drinking crystallized water with the imprinted vibration of death. You are filling 70% of your body, which is water, with the vibration of death. Tap water is mixed with sewage and all sorts of toxins inside of these facilities. Although they may remove some of the toxins from the water, the crystallized vibration of this water is still very bad. The ancients didn't just build beautiful water fountains for no reason. They had a purpose of moving the water so that it restructures the vibration of the water. Water is basically the internet of the earth. It has consciousness and intelligence. This is why you should never place your car keys or your phone next to your water. The energy codes in my bio will allow you to place codes underneath water and then drink it.
Cool, clear water.
Bubble cymatics, you're probably going to want to sit down for this one. This is a bubble attached to a speaker, and it can create holograms. But it also gives us some clues into our big gassy friend in space. Now this is a pretty easy way to view cymatics. You just need a bubble and a speaker. And you can do this with one speaker or two, like this guy, and they connect. And when you push a frequency through it with a ring light, you get to see the sound through the bubble. And the sound can make some crazy shapes, like my favorite one here, the life-giving energy container, the torus. Now here's where I'm gonna break your mind. This way of viewing cymatics can create 4D shapes like the Klein bottle, just by using a frequency and a ring light with a bubble. We can conceptually visualize shapes that are outside of 3D reality.
Cool, clear
It's
water.
sound that creates magnetic fields, and moving magnetic fields create electricity. It's in that order that creation seems to happen. So we don't live in an electromagnetic universe, we live in a magneto-electric universe. So magnets give off sound. We all know what speakers are. So there you go, you got electricity, it comes out of a plug, it runs down a wire, it goes into a speaker, a magnet, the magnet reacts, and the magnet makes the air move and creates sound. And the reverse is possible as well. It works one way and it works the other way. And this is where we start getting into the real understanding of some of the masters. Everything manifests as a torus in a toroidal field, and including sound. And this is what sound looks like when it manifests as a toroidal field. Sound, just like everything else, manifests as a toroidal field, as a torus. And this is why when our hearts beat, we create a toroidal field around our body. And that toroidal field creates an electromagnetic field around our body. And so it goes. This is what the toroidal fields look like, or that are created by the sounds we make when we speak. And phenomenal research and work has been done to show us what the different toroidal shapes and fields look like of different letters and different sounds, especially vowels. And then as we speak, these toroidal fields that we manufacture and we create with our mouths, infinite forms, infinite shapes, infinite creativity that we manifest, actually become scalar waves and scalar technology that go into all of creation and permeate all of creation instantly. It doesn't take light years for the thoughts we have or the words we speak to permeate all of creation. It happens instantaneously.
Bible means Taurus, Bi means two, Bol is one of these. These are the balls. There are two balls which create this three-dimensional construct. The Bible is all about life, incarnated into physical reality, the third dimension. The toroidal field is a multi-dimensional energy pattern. It is a universal blueprint in which all energy and matter manifests. It can be visualized as a donut-shaped configuration where energy is in a continuous loop. The central axis in which the energy goes in and then back out is called the hyperboloid. And this corresponds with our spines. Our spines are also a hyperboloid for this electromagnetic torus field. The flow of energy within our torus field and our body follows the same principles that govern the larger universal patterns. Thoughts and emotions are also forms of energy which manifest through our electromagnetic torus field. A stone thrown into water will create ripples, which will create incandescent circles which travel outward. This is the two-dimensional representation of how we visualize sound waves. In three-dimensional space, sound waves propagate in all directions, which creates a spherical wave front. When these sound waves expand, they create the torus field shape. When we speak, we create vibrational waves which expand in all directions into torus fields, and this is why talking is called torque, torus fields. The words we say have an effect on other people's fields and your fields itself, affecting reality in all directions.
The Latin alphabet we use comes from the Greek, which comes from the Phoenician, and if you wrap it around a circle, turn each letter 90 degrees, and combine them into two-letter pairs, you see that our alphabet comes from the stars. Note, however, that these three signs are reversed. These are individually mirrored. Cancer has a basket on its head, and Aquarius is missing. The letter reversals are due to the sun's analemma still present in the alphabet, and that's the figure 8 pattern that the sun draws on the sky each year, and the direction the sun is moving through each sign causes the letter reversals. Untie the alphabet on the 7th of 22 letters. The basket on Cancer's head marks the summer solstice. Aquarius is silent because the early peoples believed his waters to be the underlying fabric upon which all the other signs lived and moved and had their being. And we can answer more questions if we look into the pictographic meanings of each letter, or if we stack the alphabet on a 7-layer cake. But for now, I've answered the question.
And okay, so never say hello.
No, never say hello. Because words carry vibrations, yeah. We Bobo Shanti, we don't say hello. We deconstruct words, a lot. We don't say last night either. We say first night. Because there will never be a last night. You understand? Yeah, we do not say appreciate. We say appreciate love.
Oh.
You see? So there's many words that we have to deconstruct in English for you to get the proper vibration of what we really mean. You understand?
Secret spells of the English language. It's very simple and recognizable. We awake each morning and go off during the weekdays to earn our living at various jobs and undertakings until we come to the weekend. And everyone agrees that this is the way of things. Only more people die of heart failure between 6 and 10 a.m. Monday morning than any other time of the week. And I explained that when you translate that life sentence, you realize that awake is a funeral party for the dead, and that mourning is the state we're in when we attend awake. So when we exchange the friendly greeting with each other, good morning, on a subliminal level, we're also saying good grief.
Okay, my English accent is in the back of my throat, the Australian accent's in the middle, and the American accent's all in your mouth.
So the English accent is in the back of your throat, the Australian accent's in the middle, and American, that's all in your mouth? Oh my God. I've got to try this with all the different accents. Liverpool is in the back of the throat, 100%. Irish is definitely in the front of the mouth. Russian is at the top of the throat. Now Scotland's definitely a wee mixture of the mouth and the throat. But what if you could combine your accent smoothly and switch straight from a British one right over to an Australian one and then straight into an American? Not to forget the Russian accent. You cannot forget this. Into a Scotia. Who knows? I think it's a possibility, you know what I mean? We flick straight into the Irish. I don't mind. You haven't even got time to compute where your mouth is meant to be, where your tongue's meant to be, or what part of the throat you're going to use. All right? It's not even a possibility. You don't have chance to process it. You just got to ride the wave, I guess.
I'm not gonna lie, you know what kind of pisses me off? This is my voice in English. My first language.
Pero esta es mi voz en español. Y obviamente es mucho mejor que mi voz en inglés. Y no deberías preguntarme por qué es así, porque de verdad no estoy totalmente seguro. Creo que voy a dejar de hablar en inglés porque obviamente mi voz en español es mucho mejor.
Someone said, and then they program everybody with the subconscious mind and subliminal messages and songs so that they can never see a positive change. Exactly. You know, when you get into music, you're moving into 440 hertz. 440 hertz, which is constantly pulsing a frequency that puts the person into anger. The key of A is actually altered on that 440 hertz. So that actually makes people irritable and angry. Then you add all these words, which act like spells, in order to put the person into a lower vibration or lower frequency, bringing them down into their roots or their root chakra, which is the red one. Now, what happens is when you listen to 432 hertz, or if you listen to 7.83 hertz, you're listening to then the body begins to repair, then it begins to restore.
According to linguists, we're the only people left in the United States who generally still sound like our ancestors. Because if you listen to native-born Southern speakers, the average Southerner tends to sound more like this, what we call this Moonlight Magnolia's drawl, because if you speed up that Southern drawl, over time it rapidly becomes a British accent. Most people don't realize that people that came here from Europe were largely from the United Kingdom. So when they got here, this was more along the lines of their speaking tones. But that's the first and second generations coming off the boats, not their children. By the third and fourth generations, the kids don't quite sound like mum and dad anymore because they're starting to develop a slight elongation of the way they talk. What's today called the Virginia Tidewater accent. It's not a complete southern drawl because that's a port area. But as you go farther into the southern interior and the years progress, the accent tends to get thicker, deeper, richer. By Arkansas, Alabama, Georgia, heck yeah, you got a full-blown southern drawl. But people don't realize that in most cases in Louisiana, many of the native speakers don't sound like that. They tend to sound like this, I guarantee, especially around the bayous. Because you speed up that South Louisiana Cajun Creole accent, over time it becomes en français, French. with, of course, certain exceptions in New Orleans, which tend to sound more like New Yorkers because of the Irish and the Sicilian Italian influence. So they tend to sound a bit more like this. And people tend to get a little confused because they think, what, you from New York? Nah, I'm from New Orleans. Why?
Hello, folks. How you feeling? Good this morning? Hope you do. I'm trying to get on my feet again. Feel pretty good. Thankful it's as well as it is. Oh, boys, I'm pleased to see you. I don't know where you come from, but I give you all the welcome I've got to offer you.
Heavenly mansion, mine shall be.
Why does English sound like this but العربية تبدو هكذا وهاي تنتلا是这样的? It might have something to do with the climate these languages evolved in. Languages spoken in warmer areas with more rain and denser forests tend to have less consonants and more vowels, and the explanation is that consonants are more difficult to reliably transmit through rain and through forests, and even a high air temperature can distort consonants more. This has a fancy academic name too, the acoustic adaptation hypothesis, which simply says that languages adapt to the environments they're spoken in, at least in terms of the sounds they use. And climate also seems to influence whether a language can have tones or not. So in Chinese, ma means mother, ma means cannabis, ma means horse, and ma means to scold. And if you look on this map, you can see all the languages with tones. The red dots are clustered in these tropical areas. And this is thought to be because to reliably pronounce all these different tones, your voice needs to be really precise, and our vocal cords are actually less precise in cold and dry air. So maybe that's why European languages have a lot of consonants, think Russian, while Chinese languages have complex sets of tones.
Is Om just another sound, or is it actually an auditory symbol of electromagnetic radiation? The ancients said three main things about Om in the Mandukya Upanishad. 1. Om is the cosmic sound. 2. Om is timeless and imperishable. And 3. Om is the source of all creation. Now, if Om is a sound, none of these make sense. Sound doesn't travel through the cosmos. Sound is subject to time, and sound is absolutely not the source of all creation. However, if you think of Om as electromagnetic radiation, then all three of these make perfect sense. You start to realize that EM radiation does travel through the vacuum of space. Photons are not subject to time because of Einstein's theory of relativity. and energy plays a vital role in the creation of our universe. So with that, you tell me. The transfer of energy from mantras to yantras is equivalent to the transfer of energy from electromagnetic radiation to matter. Let me explain. When electromagnetic radiation travels at the speed of light and impacts an electron, the electron can absorb this energy and become energized. Just like how the sounds of mantras can energize and activate a yantra. The mantra is the symbolic vibration which travels through air and impacts a physical yantra. When the yantra absorbs the energy from a mantra, it becomes activated.
Bless means be less you. Appreciate is appreciate. Awake means awake, which is an event where the family gather together before a funeral. Mourning is an expression of sorrow for someone's death. Job is Hebrew for prosecution. You are taught to specifically say the vowels in this order, where the last three words say I-O-U, because they are programming you to remain a slave. Every word you say is shaping your mind, and your mind is a mirror of your external world. This is why abracadabra means I create when I speak. The words I am can be used to direct vibrational frequencies into your morphogenetic field and have the ability to change your genes. When you use the word the, you're referring to God to bring it into existence, because the comes from theo, which is Greek for God. The weekend is when you're weakened from the weekdays, when you're in a daze, when you are in physical shock or unable to think or react properly. Your parents are a pair who rent. They want you to think slaughter is laughter.
If the respiratory diaphragm doesn't expand fully during inhale, you end up with short, shallow breaths. It's like the breath gets stuck in the chest. It's just as uncomfortable as it looks. And the sense that you're not getting enough oxygen is real, because the oxygen exchange with the blood happens deeper in the lungs, and it's the respiratory diaphragm that draws the breath down there.
The most powerful healing instrument on the planet is your own voice. If you want to heal anything, go to where it first started. In the beginning, God said, let there be light. Sound, he said, sound becomes light. Tesla and Einstein both said the future of medicine is frequency. When you speak a word, I am healthy, healed, whole, and complete, these words oscillate and crystallize the water. We are 90-something% water weight. And then Jesus called the Father, consciousness binds to the water. And then the words that I just spoke oscillate and vibrate into the potential DNA. The double-stranded DNA codes for proteins which are in accordance with the words I just spoke. Your words create your reality. The word becomes flesh. Use your words to heal.
That was the Zionists. This is before the Rothschilds were actually in power. The most powerful family in America was the Rockefellers. And in 1912, the Rockefellers wanted to create the Federal Reserve, but there was a guy called Mr. Uster. And Mr. Uster at that time was a boss. He was so powerful that the Rockefellers couldn't just kill him. So instead, they made a ship. That ship was called the Titanic. And they made sure all the rich people got on the ship. And right before that ship took off, all the Morgans, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds all got off. That ship sunk. Mr. Uster dies. All of a sudden, all the political hacks that he's bribing run out of money. They go to the other side. Right after that, they start creating the Federal Reserve in 1913 on Jekyll Island. And then the next year, World War I started. So it goes like this. Titanic gets sunk, Federal Reserve, World War I.
This is the construction of the Brooklyn Bridge.
in 1881. This is Grand Central Station in 1900. Here is the construction of Fenway Park in Boston in 1914. Here's Boston in the year 1900. And here's Detroit in 1888. And all of this amazing infrastructure was built before there was a federal income tax, which didn't exist the first 137 years America was a country. So how did the government raise money before 1913? Tariffs. We taxed goods that came in from other countries. So if China wanted to sell to American markets, they had to pay for American roads. But in 1913, a small group of powerful bankers sold Americans on the Federal Reserve Bank and the 16th Amendment. Now they didn't need tariffs because they could tax you. So they started selling Americans on free trade, which is extremely profitable for international banks and corporations. And they told us that the costs of goods and services will go down. They left out that the Fed's endless printing of money would destroy the value of your dollar.
Turns out that if you traumatize, psychologically stress in a bad way, an adult male rat, and I know all of this is not nice to do, but we do learn something very interesting. You collect that adult rat's sperm and impregnate a female rat that has not been exposed to the trauma with this, and then look at the offspring of that rat compared to others that you randomized, assigned other adult male rats to not experience trauma, and you collected their sperm and you did that. Well, it turns out that the new baby rats will come into the world traumatized. They come into the world much more fearful, much more reactive to novelty, scanning the environment for danger, and the like.
In modern Jewish history, and it begins with 3 words: Dear Lord Rothschild.
Dear Lord Rothschild, I have much pleasure in conveying to you, on behalf of His Majesty's government, the following declaration of sympathy with Jewish Zionist aspirations, which has been submitted to and approved by the Cabinet.
Why was it that this letter was sent by the Foreign Secretary to your great-uncle Walter?
It's an interesting question because it was primarily a movement from Eastern Europe, but they didn't clarify who was in charge of that movement, and in addition, it was after all in Great Britain, so they felt that the Rothschild family should be the one to whom it was addressed, and Walter was Lord Rothschild, and he was a Zionist. And those really are the background reasons.
So Walter received the Balfour Declaration, and I have a copy here, and I wonder if I could possibly ask you to read it for us.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. I'm going to put on my spectacles to make sure I read it accurately. His Majesty's government view with favour the establishment of Palestine as a national home for the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavours to facilitate the achievement of this object, it being clearly understood that...
How did the Rothschild family become the wealthiest in the world? The answer lies in their remarkable history and strategic business decisions. It all began with 5 brothers, born into a family that ran a small exchange. Their father sent each of them to different major financial capitals: London, Paris, Frankfurt, Vienna, and Naples. This was a crucial move for their success. They established the first ever international bank, making it easier to transfer money across the world. All 5 brothers became immensely wealthy, creating a massive family fortune. Their wealth was so vast that they even financed entire armies. Furthermore, they used their money to acquire properties across the globe, continuously expanding their business and influence.
Netanyahu
Netanyahu bring his laundry for Americans to clean again? Netanyahu has a history of bringing suitcases of dirty laundry so White House staff can clean it. This is not just a one-time thing. Over the years, the Israeli leader has developed a reputation among the staff at the U.S. president's guest house for bringing special cargo on his trips to Washington, bags and suitcases full of dirty laundry. The Netanyahus are the only ones who bring actual suitcases of dirty laundry for us to clean, said one U.S. official. After multiple trips, it became clear this was intentional. This is not just one Washington Post article. It's been written about in Business Insider, The Guardian, Times of Israel as well, and many others. And not just a small suitcase. In 2018, leaked transcripts emerged containing allegations that Sarah Netanyahu packed 4 or 5 suitcases worth of laundry for state trips. Apparently his wife likes the smell on the clothes after foreign dry cleaning. He would do this frequently when Trump was president. You come to America with 5 suitcases of dirty clothes so Americans can wash it for you? I would feel disrespectful going to a friend's house with a couple suitcases of laundry, let alone on a visit to see the President of the United States of America. Yet American officials are clapping for the man that clearly has no respect for us.
I was saddened by the fate of the Palestinian people. They deserve a far better life. They deserve the chance to achieve their extraordinary potential. Palestinians have been trapped in a cycle of terrorism, poverty, and violence, exploited by those seeking to use them as pawns to advance terrorism and extremism.
The value of every Jew count like many, many other goyim. In his spiritual value, even you take righteous goyim and you put them compared to one righteous Jew, one Jew can be equal like thousands of righteous goyim. If you put them on a scale, spiritually.
I can't believe I'm even reporting this. Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, says he will arrest any members of Congress who dare to interrupt Benjamin Netanyahu's speech inside of Congress next week. Again, he is threatening members of America's Congress with arrest if they interrupt a foreign leader giving them advice on what to do. And look at this article. It's from the Times of Israel. How much power does a foreign country have over us where American politicians would be arrested if they spoke out against that dictator, who's apparently a dictator of America, too? No country in the world would ever allow something like this. Israel themselves would never allow the President of the United States to ever go visit their version of Congress, the Knesset, to give advice to them. This is absurd. And when Benjamin Netanyahu gives his speech on camera, it is also broadcasting to the world that Israel rules America.
Members of Congress, I now have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you His Excellency Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel.
Give us the tools faster, and we'll finish the job faster. Got to the best part. The greatest dinner I've ever had. Come on, let's get a good, beautiful. Please, let's make a...
It'll be very simple. It's all going to work out and very quickly. If we don't, you're going to end up with major wars in the Middle East and maybe a third world war. You are closer to a third world war right now than at any time since the Second World War. You've never been so close because we have incompetent people running our country. Thank you very much.
What they can do now is they can translate like Hitler's speech. They've got Hitler's speeches that Hitler gave in German. And you get to see it in English, and you're like, oh.
The German nation does not wish its interests to be determined and controlled by any foreign nation. France to the French, England to the English, America to the Americans, and Germany to the Germans. We are resolved to prevent the settlement in our country of a strange people which was capable of snatching for itself all the leading positions in the land, and to oust it, for it is our will to educate our own nation for these leading positions. We have hundreds of thousands of very intelligent children of peasants and of the working classes. We shall have them educated. In fact, we have already begun, and we wish that one day they, and not the representatives of an alien race, may hold the leading positions in the state together with our educated classes. Above all, German culture, as its name alone shows, is German and not Jewish, and therefore its management and care will be entrusted to members of our own nation.
When you see those things, those speeches, I thought it was all like, we gotta exterminate the Jews. That's not what he said.
It's called usury. Usury is illegal. So in Christian nations, lending money for an interest rate was illegal. So because it was illegal for the Christians, who did the lending? The Jews. So there was Christians who could lend for 0% or didn't lend at all. And then these people called the Jews would come over and start lending money. They would start charging money, and in a couple generations, guess what would happen to the economy? The Jews owned everything, and then guess what the king did? Rounded them up and threw them out of the country. Then they go to the next country, and what would they do? Same thing, and what would that king do? Round them up, kick them out of the country. This went on for thousands of years. This is why the Jews in history had no country. Because the king would they'd say no usury, no money lending, and they would start the money lending, they'd start the central bank to compete with the king would kick them out. They go to the next country, do it again. So this has happened over and over and over again, because this quote right here from Napoleon, he would show the compound interest tables, and he said in a very short amount of time, compound interest would eat up every piece of property in France.
We are not allowed to go back to Israel and take power before the Messiah comes. So that's why they are giving a bad look for the Jewish people. That's why I don't like them so much.
So you don't support Israel Netanyahu?
No.
Oh, okay.
Most Hasidic Jews don't.
He's here.
Only the secular Jews, they don't have the Torah, they don't have nothing. They are completely different.
So if they don't believe in the Torah, what do they believe in?
Nothing. They just want to be like the identity of Israel. I'm Jewish and I can have a Jewish state. But if you be religious, you know, and the Talmud says you're not allowed to go back to Israel and take over power.
The Talmud says they're not allowed to go back to Israel and take power?
No, it's not allowed. It's things that God says when he sent Jews in exile after the temple was destroyed. He said, you're not allowed to come back until the Messiah comes.
Germany, pre-World War I, believed their sufferings were from the Khazarian Jews from the land of Prussia. The Khazarians were the bankers that were controlling all of Europe after the Spanish Inquisition through usury and interest. Their name was Rothschild or Red Cross. Germany was prepping to be the economic superpower over Europe. The Khazarian central bankers of France and Britain saw this as a threat, but did not have the funds to take down Germany. They drafted up a scheme to use America to fund the World War I with the newly minted Federal Reserve. Britain and allies were borrowing money from the new Khazarian Federal Reserve, which eventually led America into war. Germany was tricked as the bankers planted a madman as a leader. Hitler was planted to scare all other nations to help the Allies and central banks. Hitler was a double agent working for the bankers and his own government. The plan was to get the entire West under debt. The bankers from Prussia were and are the real Nazi Party. Prussia was beaten by Russia in the 1700s and was forced to choose a different religion other than paganism. They chose Judaism and mixed it with Baal worship or Baal, forming Kabbalism under Zionism. Those are the Zionists. They conditioned, brainwashed, and used Hitler to bring in the brown coats, brown shirts, and laws against the Germans. The Red Cross, or Rothschild dynasty, played all sides of Britain and the surrounding countries, including Germany. The Red Cross works for the Jesuits or the so-called Khazars, who are also the Society of Jesus and also known as the Jesuits. Their heritage goes back to Samaria, Assyria, and ancient Egyptian pharaoh family bloodlines. Some historians have connected the bloodlines to even Mesopotamia and Gilgamesh, even to Nero and Rome. The Society of Jesus controls the Catholic Church under the current family of Orsini. Germany had loans with the Red Cross and was tired of their control. According to Wikipedia, this is what the world wants you to know. World War I's excuse was the German government believed that the onset of war and its support of Austria-Hungary was a way to secure its place as a leading power, which was supported by public nationalism and further united it behind the monarchy. A month after the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie on July 28, 1914, the Austro-Hungarian government declares war on Serbia. Immediately, and within a period of 6 days, European countries declare war upon each other. But the actual records, if you dig deeper, was that Germany wasn't going to pay back their loans to the central banks. France and London both controlled Germany, and Germany wanted to be the superpower. And according to the German leaders, the Jewish Khazarians from modern-day Ukraine, that was Prussia, were the curse upon the world. They knew they were not the real Jews of the God of Jacob and posing as God's chosen. They decided, Germany, through the Gestapo's influence, to try and wipe out the bloodlines of Mesopotamia, or the sons of Cain. The Gestapo in Germany was actually under the control from Hitler, who actually was a turncoat for his own country. So even though the leaders of Germany wanted to get rid of the Khazars, unfortunately, the Khazars were one step ahead of them. 1 year before World War I, the Federal Reserve was created. The central banks of Europe didn't want to fund the wars. Once the war started, Britain borrowed from the United States. Brand new Federal Reserve since Liberty Bonds failed, which was public donations. Nobody wanted to go to war. Britain borrowed from the Bank of France and the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve borrowed from the central banks too as well. The central banks ended up taxing their own countries to pay for the war. The war was about taking control of the threat of Germany's growth and the start of a new world order. Germany knew it and knew the bankers were getting ready for it. Albert Pike, with the help of Adam Weishaupt, brought back the Knights Templars to recreate the Freemasons, whom did the dirty work behind the scenes as spies and Secret Service. They were similar to modern-day CIA we have now. The Germans knew they were cornered. Russia didn't have their back because they too lost to the bankers during the Bolshevik Revolution. Germany did what any country would do in such desperate measures, try and take out the bankers all by themselves who had them cornered. Germany lost. The bankers won. This was the beginning of the takeover of the world by the Khazarian Jews. Not the real Jews, the Khazarian Jews from the land of Prussia, modern-day Ukraine. One could argue they have had control ever since, as many of the top world leaders wear the Red Cross bracelet, symbolizing their loyalty to the Society of Jesus. Next on the list of the takeovers was the Middle East and Asia. The rival to the Orsinis was the Breakspear family, but they love each other, who have been silently buying up land and corporations in Asia. The next move now is to force the United States to start World War III as the new Germany 2.0, and Trump is the next patsy replacing Hitler. With the PSYOP Q promise, or white hats and promises of Nasser and Jassera dangling carrots in front of the American people, the bankers have been able to keep the gun owners at bay while their controlled Congress files down their amendments and rights. The bankers used sex, gender, race, and the left and right political paradigm theater to give the appearance that the people had a choice, yet they continued to fight against each other instead of fighting the bankers. the real true ones who started all of this. Since the United States is a corporation and not a country, the education system has still been indoctrinating the children into the belief that the Khazars don't exist and Germany was the evil Axis. Now, they are using the same playbook to usher in the last phase of a complete world takeover. Albert Pike laid the groundwork in their lodges nationwide in America to make sure the public are still dumbed down and conditioned as they prepare the world for a war against Islam, Christianity, and Judaism. Israel being used for biblical significance to get the world into a holy war. They have warped Scripture and have convinced the world that Jesus and their Messiah, the Mashiach, are now coming. This is the Armageddon crap we're hearing now. This is a distraction as they push their way for depopulation. As the Jesuits believe, they can build a utopia of Khazars commanding 500 million people to work on their land to preserve it for the Breakspear family. The Breakspears controlled Jesus' spear of destiny from the year 1000 to the year 1500. The next phase is shifting the wealth from the west to the east while they continue their efforts of mind control. The Nazis that exploited Germany moved after World War II to America during Operation Paperclip. Hopefully now you're caught up and understand what's going on worldwide.
Yeah, you don't talk much, do you, Israel?
Israel talks when Israel has something to say.
I'm just trying to pass the time, man. Listen, I know you're a robot, but don't you have feelings? I mean, isn't it hard to destroy innocent people that have never wronged you?
Everyone's wrong, Israel!
Really? Wow. If that's the way you feel, maybe we'd all be better off if you didn't exist.
Israel has every right to exist!
Okay, dude, relax. Don't get so defensive.
Israel need rest.
Here? This is where you want to rest? This is the single most dangerous place you could be situated. There are so many other places you could be, Israel. It would be safer and would cause less problems. Why? Here.
Israel shouldn't have to leave. Everyone else should leave. They're the ones who are stupid.
Boy, Israel, you are a handful.
Show you what I'm about to show you, your mind will be blown. You're going to be blindsided. Every single Israeli prime minister has a fake name. Did you know that? I was just talking about Ben Gurion. Do you know what his original name is? It's Grun. Gruen. He changed it to make it sound more Jewish and sound more Middle Eastern. Do you know what Netanyahu's real name is? It's not Netanyahu, it's Milkovsky. I swear to God, go and look it up. You'll find Milkovsky. That's his real name. These are, remember what Israelis are. Israelis are European Jews. They don't come from Palestine, but they want you to make you believe. They want to make believe and make you believe that they come from this area, that they are indigenous to the land, that they're so Jewish, right? Even though they have no connection. So they changed their names. Here's another one. Moshe Sharat. His name is Chertok originally. You've got Levi Eshkol. Eshkol was Shklonik. So he changed it from Shklonik to Eshkol. Then you have Yigal Alon, his original name, Peikovitz. Golda Meir, Israel's first female prime minister. Her real name is not Golda Meir, it's Mabovich. Mabovich. More like mad bitch. We have Yitzhak Rabin, right? His name is not Rabin, it's Rubitsov. Are you seeing the pattern? These are Eastern European names. Not Palestinian, not Jewish, not Middle Eastern. They're Eastern European. Okay? They're not Palestinian. They don't come from this region. Yitzhak Shamir. He's a great one. You know, Yitzhak Shamir, he's on the wanted poster because he was wanted by the British police in Palestine for terrorism. But they don't tell you that. So Yitzhak Shamir, his original name is Yezernitsky. Yezernitsky. Shimon Peres, Persky. Netanyahu, I already told you, Malikovsky. I think I said Milkovsky, excuse me, it's Malikovsky. Never, you know, it's the same point. Ehud Barak is Brog. So B-R-O-G. Brog. He changed it to Barak. Ariel Sharon. His original name is Shinerman. Shinerman. He changed it to Sharon. And Yair Lapid, who's you still see him changing posts, his original name is Lampel, so he changed it from Lampel to Lapid.
Nobody has ever analyzed why the German nation that had more Nobel Prize winners and more famous researchers and scientists and was one of the best educated countries in Europe turn on the Jews. Why did these good Germans turn on the Jews, who had more Jews living amongst them than even percentage-wise living in the United States today? Why was that? Because they displayed the same voracious ethnocentrism, power-grabbing, influence peddling, buying of politicians, dominating of the public airwaves and the public media in Germany and so on, that they display in the United States. And I'm not much of a prophet, but that much I can say based on history. In the United States, mark my word, you will have Weimar conditions and you'll have solutions to the Weimar conditions. If you look at East Germany, how quickly it collapsed, or the former Soviet Union, how quickly it collapsed with all its secret services, spy agencies, NKVD and Stasis, it imploded so quickly, I have no idea. But there is no doubt in my mind, the United States is heading in the same direction. And there's only one difference. In the United States, there are enough guns out on the street and enough lawlessness in the public and a revolutionary spirit that founded that republic. The United States is armed to the teeth. They have a spirit of revolution in their blood. They are heroes.
Goys, that's all you guys are. You ever hear that word? Goy. It's Yiddish for non-Jew. Yiddish is like Jewish Ebonics. Goy means non-Jew. And just so you know, when you hear it, you think it's fun and friendly when they're saying it to you. It's not. They're shitting on you to your face. Goy is a derogatory word. Probably my favorite derogatory word. Yeah, because most derogatory words, they single out one race or culture and make them feel bad. Not Goy. Goy is the most inclusive of all the derogatory words. Do you know how pompous that is to have as your term for the other? That means to them it's 0.1% of the world. And then, ugh. Various shades of Goy.
Hey, you want to see something? Charlie gave this to me. It's a map of the Holy Land drawn in 1709. He got it at a flea market. It's hand-colored, copper engraved. He's going to put it in the outer office.
This outer office?
Yeah.
No.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because some people are going to find it offensive.
Why?
It doesn't recognize Israel.
It was drawn in 1709.
Yeah.
There was no Israel.
Right.
Israel wouldn't happen for another 250 years.
Yeah.
So what's the problem with the map?
Some people are going to find it offensive.
Why?
It doesn't recognize Israel.
Take lunch, would you? Wait. I want to show you this great map Charlie found.
Sir, I know that you can't put it up in the West Wing.
CJ.
It doesn't recognize Israel.
There was no Israel in 1709.
That's right.
So it's not on the map.
Which is what some people are going to find offensive.
That's ridiculous.
You know what would be great?
If I put it someplace else?
Yes.
See a messed up building? Just take a look at the Federal Reserve. Created by a group of bankers in 1913 after Jacob Astor mysteriously died on the Titanic. It became the Central Bank of America, where they print money out of thin air and control our monetary system. And lend that same money to the United States on interest. It's also home to the most stolen gold bars and more connections to the Freemasons than George Washington. No wonder why there's cameras everywhere. And a security detail with more manpower than a small third world country. This is who really has the power. Facts. Funny how they call it the Federal Reserve, but the bank literally has shareholders. People own this bank, and it owns us. Why is robbery okay? Why does this building exist? And now I'm about to go inside to prove it. I'm here for Iraq, Libya's, Haiti's, and Syria's gold.
This is the neuroscience behind why you should never rush and why I personally allow myself to be late. When we are constantly in a hurry, our bodies are being flooded with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. So being in a rush increases stress and anxiety. And there are other risks to rushing as well. Rushing is associated with poor mental health and negative emotions. It's also linked to feeling a lack of control over your life, which makes sense because rushing has been shown to decrease executive functioning. It reduces self-control, focus, working memory, and flexible thinking. Which leads me to my third point, that rushing puts you in a state of reaction rather than being in creation. You are less able to connect to your intuition and live with a sense of purpose. So moral of the story is to schedule your downtime, and please do not start your day in a rush. Have some sort of morning routine and gift yourself the gift of presence. Because being present is one of the most genuine ways to show yourself and others love.
This is how many days you're working just to pay taxes. And this is how many days you work to pay for things that you need to live on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5 months out of the year, you're working for free.
Doubt should be eliminated. You should be a doubt annihilator.
You should be an annihilator of doubt. You kill people in the ring, you should kill doubt in your mind and in your soul and your heart. Kill it. It's dead. Fight it every day because it's going to be hard. It's not going anywhere. You're going to try to throw as many negative thoughts at you as possible. And you got to throw as many and triple the positive thoughts. Whatever, throw 3 of them, you throw 16 back at them. How much you love yourself and how great you are. And how you love God for your hands and your feet and your legs and your skin and your movements and everything. Thank you, your gratitude. Your blessings triple when you have gratitude.
Don't try this at home.
Don't touch it. Don't touch. No, don't touch it. They don't seem that concerned at all, which is concerning me.
I know, it's unbelievable to see, isn't it? Babies, even when they're very young, are very, very good at watching the eyes and the emotional expression of their caregivers. And so if something new or weird or different occurs, the child will often check in with their caregiver's face to go, is this something I need to worry about or not? And in that split second, if the caregiver shows fear, the child will often react with fear as well.
I wonder how the parents feel watching this.
This is set up to be very safe.
Okay.
These are trained snakes that are used to being with humans.
They're non-venomous?
They're non-venomous.
I'm sorry, I can't.
So once you've learned to fear them, it's an awful feeling.
But we start out like this.
But we start out like
fearing it all,
this.
touching it on the face.
Yeah, just no fear at all. She hasn't learned there's anything to worry about with snakes.
Do you know what the most repeated phrase in the Bible is? The reoccurring message is repeated 365 times. Watch this.
No! 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 Go on! Get! Go on, get out of here! Go on!
Oh, you're very welcome.
I'm going to pepper spray you in the face.
Please don't do that.
That's what I'm going to do to you.
Ow! Seriously, you didn't have to do that.
Go away.
All right, it's payback time.
No! Get away from the kayak.
I'm going to eat your kayak.
Get away from that kayak.
No.
Come on.
Nope.
Bear.
Lady.
Bear.
Lady.
You're breaking my kayak.
Yes, I am.
Why are you doing that?
Because.
What am I going to do?
Buy a jet ski.
Stop it.
No, no,
Stop
no,
it,
no, no,
Bear.
no, no.
Stop breaking my kayak, please.
This is my backyard.
Pardon. Oh, why are you doing that?
Leave me alone.
Bear, please stop.
Never.